Do you ever watch a trailer and immediately get the itch to start exploring that world? You pore over the trailer, go frame by frame, analyze the map, match landmarks, recreate the map, and then turn that design into a 3D model of said map? No? Just me? Well, when Pokemon released the first trailer for Legends EA, that's what I did. Now, I wasn't exactly happy with the way it turned out, as it wasn't a conventional model, more so a terrain map made in my editing software, but I was already a couple of weeks into making my video, so had to settle with what I had. With this model and the official map, I was able to pick apart the trailer and locate a majority of the shots, which I then presented in this beautifully edited video. With the release of the latest Pokémon Presents came a new trailer, which means I get the excuse for my stupid ambition to waste a week learning something new, and this time, that was Blender. Since I'd already put in a bit of the work, I was able to give myself a good head start by using the 2D map as a base to build my model. Let's skip to the chase though. Today, I present to you my actual 3D map of Lumiose City, complete with Prism Tower ripped straight from X and Y. There's a few things I'd definitely like to improve, like adding textures to make the buildings stand out from one another, but that's beyond me for the time being. Maybe I'll take a crack at it once the next trailer comes out, or if this video gets enough likes, I'll find the motivation to delve further into Blender. Just to sidetrack us for a second, I've been working on this video for longer than I anticipated, so much so that World snuck up on me, and turns out they had a playable demo there. After watching through some footage, I didn't find anything to worry about. It actually confirmed a few of my placements. That was until I saw this tweet from Makio and J Roses. And, well, it's not the end of the world. I just wish I could have been a bit speedier, because now my work is a little outdated. This does give me a craving to go back to my model though, so please let me know if you'd like to see me go all out. That said, with map in hand, let's begin our analysis. Like last time, I'm going to go district by district, placing these shots and discussing any important locations. We begin with all the shots that take place in Hotel Z, AZ's hotel which can be found a short walk from the train station, and will most likely act as our base of operations, not dissimilar to Galaxy Hall. Next we have a difficult shot as there are no clear landmarks. However, going by its position in the trailer, the group we are with, and these vines which seem similar to those found around Hotel Z, I'm going to place the shot around here. We then have a shot which takes place down this road, facing towards Vert Plaza. Next, the introduction of Naveen takes place on the other end of Wild Zone 1, specifically right outside of Sycamore's lab, which is currently under the leadership of Mabel, who we get to see inside of the lab. We then have a few shots which take place along the streets that cut through Vert Plaza. Starting at the station, then down the street to this cafe, and lastly onto the other side of the plaza with these two shots, which can be identified by the buildings and this advertising column. Moving towards the river, we have this shot of Lopunny, as well as this Florges photo, followed by this shot just beneath them. There is then this shot of Emma. We can tell it is in Vert Town due to the banner, however, the other landmarks cause a little confusion. If I break it down, there is really only one place it should be. It has to be facing towards Prism Tower, there must be two buildings either side of the street leading under a bridge, stairs leading up the side of the bridge, then a green roofed building followed by a blue one. The only place we can see on the map that follows these conditions is here, but to me it doesn't seem to line up. Finally, I have two shots of Leader. The one on the battle pitch I suspect is here. However, like the other shot, there is basically nothing to go off of. They could both easily be in a whole other district, but for now I'm going to leave them here, as that would make the most sense to me going by the structure of the trailer. We'll start here in this courtyard, which is right next to the shopping centre. The following shot gives us a minimap showing our character looking towards the entrance to the courtyard we were just in, placing it exactly here. This low row is then a little over from there in the middle of this pond. After that we have a shot down Vernal Avenue. This next shot takes place on a rooftop not far from here, just above the slope road, which gives us some important information regarding our next location, the base of the Rust Syndicate. The initial shot of the base gives us very little to go off of, but you would think a landmark like this should be noticeable on the map. However, this is not the case. So it was lucky that we already got a glimpse of this building. Using my map we could get a better idea of its location by trying to recreate the angle. This shows us that it's actually this building. and if we take a look at the official map, it turns out this Staryu was blocking it all along. I've had grievances with this Talonflame for a long time, since it's forced me to basically guess what is behind it. But now that we know that these Pokemon are actually covering some important locations, like even over at Hotel Z, you can't actually see the hotel itself, only the buildings surrounding it. Maybe there are a couple more important locations being hidden from us. Moving on from the Rust Syndicate, we find ourselves at the edge of Bleu Town, on Estival Avenue. This is where the following shots also take place, as I believe they are part of the same battle zone. Taken to the rooftops along Estival Avenue, we find Marwile. We are also given a minimap confirming its position as well as 2 new wild zones. We can see from the research mission that they are in Zone 9. I'd previously taken a guess at the location of some new wild zones we'd see. I was aware that there was a zone where 9 is, and placed it pretty well, but the zone just below was a total guess, and it turns out I wasn't far off, especially as I labelled it as Zone 9. Below these zones just further down the street, we have this watcher blocking an elevator. Moving further into Magenta Town, we have a couple of shots by the river which passes under Magenta Plaza. Going further north, we are treated to another minimap as part of the mission to guide some Trubbish. This places the mission exactly here, just below Quasartico. The following shots also take place in the immediate vicinity, some on the rooftops, and others right outside of Quasartico. Our last shot here takes place at the end of Autumnal Avenue, besides this large building, which I'm still unsure the purpose of. I could take some guesses, but honestly, I'm too lazy for that. We start in Rouge Town right next to where we left off in this battle pitch. We also get to see Mega Dragonite in the same location. Moving back up Autumnal Avenue, there seems to be a battle zone on the opposite side of the street from Quasartico. There are then a couple of shots on the roof just above. In our next scene, we are shown some customization options taking place inside this dome. After that, we go back to Looker's Bureau, where we are introduced to Emma. This is assumed to be in the same location, as the interior of the building is 1-to-1 with X and Y. Following that, we can move outside to Rouge Plaza and the road north of it. In the background of this last shot, we can see Wild Zone 3, towards Prism Tower. While this does look close to the tower, we've seen that road before, and it didn't have a Wild Zone. So judging by the buildings, this shot takes place right next to Wild Zone 4, with 3 being a small area between here and the plaza. Is what I would have said if we didn't have definitive proof of where Zone 3 actually is now. Turns out I did kind of predict this before, under the assumption that zones would appear throughout the game, which also seems to be the case, as there are only 6 at the start. But this zone is number 3, not 10. If I was to take a guess, I think that all these shots previously seen in Zone 3 have actually been from the game's new mode, as during these fights there is no longer a green border, explaining why I was confused beforehand. They were actually teasing this mode all the way from the start. We start off in Jaune Town with a shot that follows on from the end of the last trailer. Previously I had placed this on a building, but judging from these new angles, it actually takes place a little further back on top of this roof. Down from here along the waterfront we have Wild Zone 11. In a minimap from the first trailer, we got a glimpse of this zone, so when it came to predicting their placements, it seems I got this one mostly correct, including its number, despite it stretching into the water. We then return to Wild Zone 6 along the outer street. Here we can also see a battle pit that was previously in a trailer that I didn't manage to place. Since I sketched out my original 2D map from the ones given to us, small details like this passed me by. I assumed there were buildings, like the battle pitch in Quasartico. There are a few other details like this that don't seem to line up anymore, now that I've built my model. Getting back to the trailer, just outside of this large building, we then have this shot looking over Jaune Plaza. And finally, we get to Wild Zone 15, which is located on the outer streets just down the road from Hotel Richemay, a building that I somehow missed when identifying it for my last video. This is also the highest number zone we've seen so far, and I don't imagine it's going to get much higher, but I guess we'll see. We'll finish up this trailer with shots that I was unable to place. There are a few like this fur-through shot that don't have any unique details to locate them. And then 2 indoor shots, Slowbro in what looks to be a restaurant, and Bayonet inside a building which I believe we saw in the last trailer. Finally, we have the scene of a rogue Tyranitar Mega Evolving, which was paired with an explanation from Emma. I don't expect this to be our first encounter with rogue Megas, so the shot of Emma could easily be in the same area as we placed her in Vert Town for another mega encounter. However, there is nothing to go off of. The shot of Tyranitar though does seem to have some rooftops we can see. Honestly, I can barely tell what colour they are, let alone figure out where this could be. There is also a shot which seems to take place at the end of one of these fights, although the location does seem to be different, and I don't suspect that it's just facing the opposite direction from Tyranitar. I did think to see if the Megastone looks like Tyranitar's, however it's nothing alike, and more so looks like a generic model that we'll get for every cutscene like this. And that is that. Each of these trailers have given me a ton to look over, and it was a lot of fun piecing it all together. I look forward to seeing if there are any more locations being hidden from us in the future. Analysing these trailers like this has given me appreciation for the game and map design that I wouldn't have had otherwise. I'm constantly impressed with how so many locations can be hidden and weaved together, even throughout what seems to be a small map, and hope this comes across even better when I get my hands on the game. I've always loved this sort of design, going back to the likes of Delfino Plaza from Mario Sunshine. Even if this game won't have that sort of movement, I hope running through these streets will be just as satisfying. Let me know if you're as excited for this game as I am in the comments, and feel free to share any thoughts you have on the shots I've placed, whether that's to debunk them, or help me find some of these missing locations. Make sure to subscribe and stick around for more content like this, even if it does take a while for me to get them out. I hope to see you all next time, and enjoy the rest of your day.